Then he said to his disciples, "The harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. Therefore pray earnestly to the Lord of the harvest to send out laborers, to send out laborers." Then he said to his disciples, "The harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few."
Then he said to his
Therefore pray
disciples,
earnestly
"The harvest
to the
is
Lord of the
plentiful, but
harvest
the laborers are
to
few.
send out
Therefore pray
laborers,
earnestly
to send
to the Lord
out
of the harvest to
laborers.
send
Then
out
he said to his
laborers,
disciples, "The
to
harvest is
send
plentiful,
out
but the laborers are
laborers."
few.
Then he said to his
Therefore pray
disciples,
earnestly
"The harvest
to
is
the Lord of the
plentiful, but the
harvest
laborers are
to
few.
send out
Therefore pray
laborers,
earnestly
to send
to the Lord
out
of the harvest
laborers,
to send out laborers, to send out laborers. Welcome. That was a canon called "The Laborers Are Few," and it's taken from Matthew chapter 9, verses 37 to 38. This canon is written specifically for Ember days. And if you're wondering what are Ember days, well, the church calendar sets aside a few days 4 times a year, for each of the seasons, to pray specifically for those postulants entering holy orders, or more generally speaking, for all of us to pray for priests and ministers, pastors, bishops, deacons, what have you. And so this is a wonderful time of year to specifically set aside to pray for the leadership of your church and those who have given their life to the ministry of the gospel. And for example, you could pray for Brother Jonathan here, who is pastor of worship arts here in Michigan, at a church here in Michigan where we live. But specifically praying for your pastor would be an excellent use of these days. So we will teach you this canon. It's in 3 phrases, and I'm going to break them up in half first, and then we'll piece it back together in unison and canon after we've learned the individual chunks. So from the beginning, we have, "Then he said to his disciples." We'll just do that much. Ready?
Then he said to his disciples,
"The harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few."
"The harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few."
Put those together, we've got, "Then he said to his disciples, the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few."
Then he said to his disciples, "The harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few."
Okay, now I'm going to repeat few because I think that will help us to get into the second phrase more musically. So I'll sing, "Few, therefore pray earnestly."
Few, therefore pray earnestly,
"To the Lord of the harvest."
to the Lord of the harvest.
Okay, we'll save the next 2 notes as a pickup into the third phrase. So let's just do, "Few, therefore pray earnestly, to the Lord of the harvest."
Few, therefore pray earnestly, to the Lord of the harvest.
Okay, Let's repeat phrases 1 and 2, I think, before we go on. So this one's rhythmically kind of doesn't always line. It's not moving parallel between parts. So let's really try to establish the rhythmic phrasing before we move on to the third phrase. So from the beginning, it sounds like this. Then he said to his disciples, "The harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. Therefore pray earnestly to the Lord of the harvest."
Then he said to his disciples, "The harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. Therefore pray earnestly to the Lord of the harvest."
Okay, going on into the third phrase, we have 2 little pickup notes. To send out laborers.
To send out laborers.
To send out laborers.
To send out laborers.
Good, then let's do that whole third phrase together and then we'll be done. To send out laborers. To send out laborers.
To send out laborers. To send out laborers.
And that's the whole thing. So let's put them together, 3 phrases. We'll sing 2 times through all together in unison. And I'll hold up fingers. So if you're getting off at the same phrase each time, then probably just want to go back and isolate that phrase a few more times before we move on. So from the top, ready? Then he said to his disciples, "The harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. Therefore pray earnestly to the Lord of the harvest to send out laborers. To send out laborers." Then he said to his disciples, "The harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. Therefore pray earnestly to the Lord of the harvest to send out laborers. To send out laborers." Okay, so those of you who are very musically astute may be wondering, why are all these phrases starting not on what feels like the downbeat of the phrase? I'm cueing in the phrases as when they enter, but the beginning of the melody kind of feels like a very long pickup into the downbeat of the 4-bar phrase musically. So if it helps to just think of that as a long pickup, then he said to his disciples, that's the beginning of the 4-bar phrase. So the cadences will line up in where I'm cueing in the phrases. Don't worry about that, but if you're feeling like kind of confused about the phrasing, that's why. So so if you're counting it that way, then you'll want to remember few, or when the second phrase begins at few, you'll come in on beat 2 of that measure. Or you could just think of it as 6 pickup notes coming in on beat 2 of the measure before. Or ignore all of that and just try to do it on intuition. So it'll make a lot more sense if you're following along with the music. So sign up for Patreon. Or you can email me. I'm happy to send you a PDF for free. I don't mind that. We'll go. I think, actually, let's go 3 times through. We're going to go 3 more times through. Jonathan will start. I'll come in second. You could sing with him. You could sing with me. You could add a third part if you want to. Do whatever you want. And
then he said to his disciples, "The harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few.
Then he said to his
Therefore
disciples,
pray earnestly
"The harvest
to the
is
Lord of
plentiful,
the
but
harvest
the laborers
to
are few.
send out laborers.
Therefore pray earnestly earnestly
to send
to the Lord
out
of the harvest,
laborers.
to send
Then
out
he said to his
laborers,
disciples,
to
the harvest is
send
plentiful,
out
but the laborers are
laborers.
few.
Then he said to his
Therefore pray
disciples,
earnestly
the harvest
to the
is
Lord of
plentiful,
the
but the
harvest
laborers are
to
few.
find out
Therefore pray
laborers,
earnestly
to send
to the Lord of the
out
harvest, to
laborers.
send
Then
out
he said to his
laborers,
disciples, the
to
harvest is
send
plentiful,
out
but the laborers are
laborers.
few.
Then he said to his
Therefore pray
disciples,
earnestly
the harvest
to the
is
Lord of the
plentiful, but the
harvest
laborers
to
are
send
few.
out
Therefore pray
laborers,
earnestly
to
to
send
the Lord
out
of the harvest, to
laborers.
send out laborers, to send out laborers. And that's the whole canon. Thanks for joining us. I hope you'll sing with us again sometime.